Forget everything you think you know about the ancient world. Let's start with a fact powerful enough to shake your understanding of history, a fact that challenges the very timeline we thought was set in stone. Picture this. Around 2600 BC, while the ancient Egyptians were rallying tens of thousands of workers, sweating and bleeding under the desert sun to build the Great Pyramids, something extraordinary was happening elsewhere. Far away in a frozen, desolate corner of the Arctic, the last woolly mammoths were still alive. They were still breathing, still walking across the icy ground. Pyramids and mammoths coexisting. It sounds impossible, like a glitch in time itself. Two icons of vastly different ages, somehow sharing the same breath on this planet. How could this remnant population cling to life for thousands of years after the rest of their kind vanished into myth? Welcome to today's video. We unravel a mystery frozen in time. Did humans drive the woolly mammoth extinct? Get ready for the tragic, epic story of an Ice Age titan. Our ancestors lived alongside woolly mammoths for tens of thousands of years. And the evidence isn't just buried in fossilized bones. It's also painted vividly on the walls of ancient caves across Europe, like Chauvet and Lascaux in France. These cave paintings, created with charcoal and natural pigments, are tens of thousands of years old. And in them, we see mammoths depicted with astonishing detail, almost with reverence. To prehistoric humans, mammoths may have been more than just food or raw materials. They might have been spiritual symbols, mighty spirits of the natural world. Perhaps they painted them to ask for a successful hunt, or maybe they simply stood in awe of their strength and beauty. But here's the chilling twist. Awe didn't equal immunity. And perhaps this was the mammoth's greatest misfortune, sharing its world with us. Homo sapiens. The most intelligent, most adaptable, and most lethally inventive species this planet has ever produced. Archaeology has given us cold, undeniable proof. Scientists have uncovered mammoth bones pierced by flint spearheads, and bones etched with clean, deliberate cuts. Entire archaeological sites show areas where mammoth meat was processed. Their bones and tusks were turned into tools, weapons, jewelry, and even building materials for temporary shelters. Take the Mezhyrich site in Ukraine, for example. There, humans built huts almost entirely out of mammoth bones. But make no mistake, these creatures were not easy prey. To understand the mammoth, journey back to the Pleistocene, the Ice Age. Not just a long winter, but a geological epoch spanning over 2.5 million years, ending a mere 11,700 years ago. And don't just picture them as furry elephants. Imagine true giants. A full-grown male woolly mammoth could stand up to 13 feet tall at the shoulder. That's taller than a double-decker bus. They weighed anywhere from 12,000 to 16,000 pounds, about the size of a large cargo truck, walking mountains of fur and muscle. That massive frame was wrapped in an almost unimaginable coat of insulation. On the outside, they had a layer of long, coarse guard hairs, some reaching up to 3 feet, draping down like a shaggy cloak against the biting cold. And underneath, their thick skin was a layer of fat up to 4 inches thick. It wasn't just an energy reserve. It was nature's ultimate thermal blanket. But perhaps the most iconic and awe-inspiring feature of the woolly mammoth was its great curved tusks. These weren't just for show. On adult males, they could reach up to 15 feet long, curling almost into a full spiral. They were incredibly versatile tools, used to sweep away snow, fend off predators, and battle rivals during mating season. One powerful strike from those massive tusks could stop even the boldest predator in its tracks. We arrived. A new predator emerged from the shadows, smaller, weaker, frailer. No thick fur, no crushing strength, no dagger-like claws, This predator wielded something far deadlier, a calculating mind. It is humans, Homo sapiens. We didn't challenge the mammoth's brute force head-on. We outsmarted it. We learned to cooperate, to strategize. Did we use flickering firelight to spook herds, driving panicked giants towards cliffs or into hidden pitfalls? Did we rain down spears, a relentless swarm targeting vulnerable points, patiently waiting for the colossus to bleed out, to collapse from exhaustion and terror? It was a terrifyingly effective blend of ingenuity and ruthlessness. It allowed fragile beings to bring down legends. When mammoths faced the cold of the Ice Age, when they faced the dire wolf or the saber-toothed cat, they adapted, endured, and thrived. But when they faced us with our dancing fire, our sharpened spears, and most of all, our calculating minds, that is when the real threat appeared. From the very beginning, were we the most dangerous species on Earth. From the cradle of Africa, humankind began its journey to conquer the world. They migrated across continents, carrying with them the fire to tame the darkness, ever more sophisticated stone tools, and a complex capacity for social organization. Eventually, they reached the frozen territories of the mammoths in Eurasia and North America. And here, a chilling pattern emerges. As human populations grew and spread, mammoth populations plummeted. Where humans arrived early and thrived, mammoths vanished fastest. This gave birth to a stark accusation, the overkill hypothesis. Did we relentlessly hunt these magnificent beasts into oblivion? But humans didn't just hunt mammoths for meat. Their bones and tusks were precious resources. Bones were used to build shelters, craft tools, and make sewing needles. Mammoth tusks were carved into intricate works of art. Taking down a mammoth meant not just survival, but status. It fed entire tribes for weeks, perhaps months. It played a role in ritual and community identity. This suggests that humans may have hunted mammoths far beyond mere necessity. They hunted to eat, to craft, to create, and perhaps to demonstrate power. But this raises a thorny question. How many hunts would it take to wipe out a species as vast and widespread as the mammoth, stretched across 2 continents? Prehistoric human populations were relatively sparse, and hunting a mammoth was perilous, exhausting work. Could intense hunting alone have erased millions of mammoths from the face of the earth? Or was there another force, hidden and slow, silently draining the life from these giants? The story of the mammoth's extinction begins to reveal deeper, more complex clues. It's not simply the tale of predator versus prey. It's also the tale of a world transforming at breakneck speed. The Ice Age didn't last forever. Around 20,000 years ago, Earth began to warm. Massive glaciers that once smothered the northern hemisphere started to melt fast. Sea levels rose, drowning coastal plains and cutting off land bridges like Beringia, isolating animal populations. But for mammoths, the most critical change was ecological. Warmer temperatures brought explosive plant growth, but also heavier, wetter snowfalls that made foraging harder. Their primary food sources declined. Mammoths were forced to travel farther for scarcer grasslands, expending more energy to find less food. Their bodies became stressed. Birth rates dropped. Fewer calves were born. Fewer still survived. Imagine this. Your home is slowly vanishing. The pantry is empty, and every day you must walk farther into an unfamiliar, unforgiving wilderness. That was the fate mammoths faced as Earth warmed. The same gentler climate that ended the Ice Age may have sealed the doom of its greatest children. Adding to this, scientists point out something critical. There is little archaeological evidence of massive kill sites across the mammoth's range. Yes, there is clear evidence that humans hunted them, but pinning the entire extinction solely on humanity might be too simplistic. So who or what really killed the mammoths? The answer might be both. Humans may not have been the ones to shove the mammoths off the cliff, but they may have arrived just in time to give the final nudge. As mammoth populations grew fragile, humans applied the pressure at the worst possible moment. Every mammoth felled for food, tools, or ritual added to a toll the weakened species simply couldn't recover from. Relentless hunting accelerated an already spiraling decline caused by habitat collapse and climate change. And there's groundbreaking genetic evidence to support this more nuanced theory. By extracting and decoding DNA from bones, teeth, and even hair preserved in permafrost, scientists have peered deep into the mammoth's genetic history. And what they found is stunning. The species' genetic diversity had already begun to collapse long before humans became widespread and before the final extinction event. What does this mean? It means mammoth populations were becoming fragmented by environmental shifts. This led to inbreeding and the buildup of harmful genetic mutations. Their gene pool weakened. Their ability to adapt to new challenges deteriorated. So, are we the culprits or just accomplices of nature? Perhaps there is no simple verdict. But the tragedy of the mammoths didn't end there. As sea levels rose after the Ice Age, Wrangel Island, lying in the Arctic Ocean, north of Siberia, became cut off from the mainland. A small group of woolly mammoths found themselves accidentally stranded on this remote island. Miraculously, this isolated patch of land became something of a time capsule, a place where mammoth-friendly steppe environments persisted longer than on the mainland. And more importantly, for a long time, humans couldn't reach this harsh and distant corner of the world. The mammoths here were, for a time, safe from the most intelligent predator. Thanks to this isolation, the Wrangel Island mammoths survived for another 7,000 years after all their relatives had vanished from the rest of the planet. That means they were still alive when the pharaohs of Egypt were building the pyramids. A miraculous survival, an extraordinary testament to the resilience of life. But isolation was a biological trap. The island became a natural laboratory for what happens when a small population is completely cut off from genetic diversity. With no new gene flow from outside populations, no exchange to refresh the gene pool, inbreeding became inevitable. Scientists sequenced the DNA of Wrangel Island mammoths and compared it with older mainland mammoths and modern Asian elephants. The results were shocking. The genome of the Wrangel mammoths showed a devastating accumulation of harmful mutations. Critical genes related to neurological function, male fertility, insulin metabolism, and even hair structure had broken down. The last mammoths may have suffered from impaired vision or even blindness. Their sense of smell might have weakened, making it harder to find food or communicate. Males could have been infertile. Their iconic fur may have become coarse, brittle, and ineffective at trapping heat. The downward spiral of genetic decay kept tightening until the last mammoth collapsed, alone on a frigid shore, bringing the legacy of this once mighty species to an irreversible end. The story of the mammoth seemed to have ended with the last one collapsing on the icy shores of Wrangel Island. But in the 21st century, a bold and controversial new chapter is being written: the ambitious quest to bring the woolly mammoth back to life. Thanks to remarkably well-preserved specimens frozen in permafrost and revolutionary advances in genetic technology, especially CRISPR gene editing, scientists are now seriously exploring the possibility of resurrecting the mammoth. Yet this idea raises a storm of ethical and ecological questions. Is this our way of atoning for past sins, restoring to Earth a species we helped push into extinction? Or is it just another hubristic intrusion into nature, another display of scientific arrogance? Do we truly want to see mammoths walk the earth again for the sake of ecosystems? Or simply to ease our guilt and satisfy human curiosity? And then comes a thornier question, one that cuts to the heart of the Rangel tragedy. Many of the best preserved genetic samples come from that final doomed island population. But if we clone or engineer hybrid animals using DNA riddled with harmful mutations, aren't we deliberately resurrecting a broken species? Aren't we bringing back not just the body of the mammoth, but also the genetic curse that helped seal its fate? The story of the woolly mammoth is not just a lesson in natural history. It is a warning, a call to action. Will we listen to the desperate echoes from the past? Or will we continue down the same path, the path that has led to the disappearance of so many creatures, and may one day lead to the disappearance of ourselves? The answer lies within us. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the amazing and sad world of the woolly mammoth. Goodbye for now, and see you again in the next story about the mysteries of our planet.